get us into trouble in
absolutely.
an aspect.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say something else about this idea of blaming the Jews. One of the things that I wanted to say from the early church that I forgot to mention earlier about dispensationalism is that in 70 AD, like when Jesus in Matthew, where was it where he came up to Jerusalem and wept over Jerusalem? Luke, right? In Luke, he came up to Jerusalem. And he came up from Galilee through Jericho and then ascended up, the scriptures say, to Jerusalem. And when he got there, he looked over Jerusalem, the whole of Jerusalem, and began to weep as he pronounced a judgment over it. He said, if you had known the time and accepted it, he was something that not everybody's aware of. There was, Nero, he killed himself, ran a sword through his throat in 68 AD. And then another one took over, and they led with Titus into Jerusalem at the very path that Jesus was at. So they took that road from Galilee to Jericho up to Jerusalem, and that's how they conquered the city. It ended in 72 or 73 AD with Masada, right? So, but when Jesus was prophesying and weeping, he would have had full revelation of the future. I think that, and I don't want to speculate anything, but God is omniscient. And I believe that he had full revelation of 70 AD. He knew exactly who it was and where it was and the armies, because he was about to die for everyone. He knew their names for goodness sake, and he saw the soldiers marching, and he saw the destruction. He saw the beautiful temple being plucked apart one brick at a time, and that's what they did. And people say, well, there's still a wall standing. That is not the wall of the temple. That's the guard's wall. But I believe that they took every single stone down, fulfilling that prophecy. And Jesus was weeping to see it. And I think he saw it in that moment. I think he saw it as the event in the future, and that was the judgment. And the early church says that was their judgment. When the Jews were judged, and the Romans were judged as well. Remember, and let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about how the Romans are implicated. But the Jews were judged in that 70 AD period, and early writers, Josephus, Eusebius, and some of these early writers will talk about it very openly, that this was the judgment of their participation in the rejection of the Christ. And they get that information from that passage, that Jesus was pronouncing a judgment. Because you have not seen the time, rejecting the Christ, this will happen. And talking about 70 AD. So that judgment was passed, whereas the dispensationalism says that it went on. I think that judgment was passed because literally men and women were eating their own children. It was so terrible. There was acts and things that we couldn't discuss as adults. There were unspeakable things that were happening, but recorded, and you could read about it in history. If you guys do the research, they were doing deplorable things. And with